Hello, and thank you for joining me. This book, Evergreen, I do recommend it, but if I were to sum it up in one sentence or pithy comment, it would be needs footnotes. Our author has taken us on really a cultural history of the evergreen tree in the United States, going back to here in New England where the white pine was in effect another form of white gold. And then going through what is often, almost always, a very sad story about over harvesting timber, treating it as not as a renewable resource that requires careful husbandry, but rather a resource to exploit at scale with industrial process. He does provide a bibliography in the rear of the book, as it were. And sometimes as he writes, he does reference a particular book and author in the text, but there are no footnotes, and I think that's a shortcoming. In the end, he even talks about, I didn't want to, use the words obscure or burden, I forget the exact terminology, with footnotes. And admittedly, there's an irony in me asking him to murder more trees to make a book by adding footnotes because it would bulk the book up, but I think it really does need it. I learned a lot. There's a lot of information here along a lot of thought, but I do know he made some mistakes. An example of this is referencing balloon framing going after 1950. So to clarify, balloon framing is a style of construction, also called the Chicago system, developed around 1850 and dominating the United States until around 1950. And in it, the studs for a house are full height. They go from the sill plate on the foundation all the way up to where the rafters will begin with the top plate. And then floors are hung off of that. In the 1950s, platform framing was introduced. Same basic materials, but you build one wall and then you put a platform as a floor with joists, and then you build a next wall, and so on. As a homeowner, I'm thrilled to live in a balloon framed house because when it comes to adding new wiring, it's very easy. Drop a chain down a hole or an empty wall right to the basement, tie off your Romex, pull it up, and home run and done. If you have platform framing and you're adding new wiring, you're going to have to open up a lot of walls to get wires through holes you're going to have to drill in the platforms. Why do we use platform framing? Two reasons. One, you don't need 16 foot and 20 foot and longer studs. And another reason is fire. If you have a balloon framed house, you should add fire blocks because a fire that starts in the basement will go right up the house right away. Okay, so he makes that factual mistake, and there's some other ones I caught in the book. And we're like, I don't think that's true, and such. And then the other thing is a lot of very good, interesting ideas and such are referenced, and it'd be nice to be able to go and dig more into that thing, right? Okay, one last thought. I know a lot of people rail against wokeness, and they might read this book. Our author happens to be gay, and so a couple chapters really lean into homosexuality, particularly in labor, timber camps, and all that. Quite understand that it would be an important topic to him. And to me, it's like helpful to know about that. And to those who rail against wokeness, not something I'm necessarily excited about, my response to that would be, if history makes you uncomfortable, that's really a you problem. If advocacy is something you object to, again, I do think we should allow people, as long as they are honest and are grounded in facts and ethical behavior, to advocate for things. All right, so Evergreen by Trent Presser. He's coming out of Cornell University, a school I hold in high regard, in a very beautiful part of a very beautiful state, but it is flatland. And well, so I'm just keep rambling. I'm trying not to. So I'm going to say thank you very much for joining us. Take care. Yes, I recommend it, but footnotes and maybe a couple tweaks would be a better book. Take care.